So we have got just a little bit of breaking news to talk about today regarding Coinbase and maybe just maybe their paper Bitcoin attack now being legalized and allowed by the SEC. What am I talking about? Well, everybody's favorite, Brian Armstrong, has now been let go by the SEC. We can see here, breaking, SEC staff agrees in principle to dismiss enforcement case against Coinbase. So today I want to be talking about what is going on at Coinbase. Why do Bitcoin continue to precipitously leave the exchanges? And are we seeing some recognition that Coinbase is going to be allowed to do what they have done? And that is custody all of the Bitcoin held by the Bitcoin ETFs. But let's not forget, BlackRock and Coinbase did have to change their custody agreement around 5 to 6 months ago now, when rumors were circulating about Coinbase and BlackRock settling their transactions off-chain. These rumors even said they were doing it in a little bit of a shady manner. So I want to talk about what exactly is happening with Coinbase and whether or not they're going to be allowed to do what they've been doing for the past couple of months. Because I've got the tweet from Brian Armstrong that's really broken the internet today. As you can see, it's a long one. Now, I only have a couple of bits highlighted in this tweet that I think is worth paying attention to. So we can see, after years of litigation, millions of taxpayer dollars spent, blah, 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 we reached an agreement with the SEC staff to dismiss their litigation against Coinbase. And here's the kicker. This full dismissal is expected to be approved next week, which means that Coinbase will be paying 0 fines and there will be 0 changes to Coinbase's business. So Coinbase has said loudly and proudly that it's completely normal for them to settle these transactions with a few of these Bitcoin ETF providers off-chain. This is the fact that's causing a little bit of eyebrows to be raised in the Bitcoin space, saying, give us some more transparency. We want some more transparency. It doesn't look like we're going to be getting the transparency because Coinbase has now won their battle with the SEC. Coinbase has come out on top, and Brian Armstrong is over here on Twitter gloating. There will be 0 changes to our business. Guess what else he says? He has multiple different points here. We're not going to be reading them all, just the interesting ones that I thought I wanted to bring to you guys today. He has 1, 2, 3 points and some lengthy thank yous. But we can see in point number 1, he says the SEC was wrong on the law. They were exceeding the authority given to them by Congress by asking us to delist a number of assets that were not securities. So instead of getting more transparency from Coinbase, Coinbase is saying, we're not changing anything. They're even saying the SEC is wrong, and we're going to continue pumping and dumping valueless altcoins. He says, oh, the securities, the hundreds, if not thousands of altcoins we've listed on Coinbase, they're not securities. We're not doing anything wrong here at Coinbase. The SEC, they were wrong. Again, this is just, I want to talk about the market impacts. I don't want to get into politics. I don't want to get into opinions, whether we think altcoins are right or wrong. All I'm going to continue to remind you guys about is the fact that, as Tom Cat says in the chat, Coinbase, I'm not even going to read it. I don't want to get myself in trouble. But we do always caution you guys to be really careful with any companies that might be associated with altcoins. That's what we tell you. We caution you. We just say, look, Bitcoin only is a pretty good gauge of reputability. Yes, the space is still early, and sometimes for specific products, you're not going to be able to get a Bitcoin only service or a Bitcoin only product. But we always remind you guys, Bitcoin only, it's a very good gauge of reputation. That's what we are going to say. And all we can see right now is that maybe the reputation at Coinbase just isn't as good as many people think it is, because we can see coins are leaving the exchanges very quickly. This is, again, Coinbase's balance. It is dropping like an absolute rock as people race to get their Bitcoin out of Coinbase, which is something we always encourage you guys to do. Because why? Well, because you should be taking self-custody of your Bitcoin. Now, this is also an interesting rabbit hole to explore today, because we had some more breaking news coming out regarding, let's call it a Bitcoin hardware wallet. So, not a Bitcoin hardware wallet. I misspoke, an exchange. So whose exchange just got hacked for $1.4 billion today? Well, it was Bybit. So Bybit just suffered the biggest attack in crypto history, suffering $1.4 billion in losses. This is a massive hack. This is actually a really big deal. This is potentially a bigger deal than most people are talking about. But again, what is the common trait here? Why did Bybit get hacked? They're an altcoin company. Surprise, surprise. This is why Ethereum is at the moment absolutely dumping. Have a look at this article. I like this headline here. I do want to check in on the price of not only Bitcoin, but also, let's just say, the broader space, to see how we are reacting to this crash. And I do want to show you some, let's call it some key differences that we're seeing between Bitcoin and the rest. So here is Bitcoin, $95,000 a coin. As you can see, we're still in this kind of tight consolidation range that we're seeing. But let's have a look at Ethereum. The chart looks a little bit different, doesn't it? Just doesn't quite look as healthy as the Bitcoin chart. And this is because the ETH BTC chart has been in a perpetual downtrend here since Ethereum's supposedly revolutionized itself with the merge. We can see since Ethereum transitioned from proof of work to proof of stake, it has been in a down-only era. Down only. Have a look at this chart. I think it's pretty clear. Boom shakalaka. The market has spoken. The market thinks that proof of stake is a shitcoin. Ethereum is down by, wow, 69% against Bitcoin since it transitioned to proof of stake. The market is telling us very, very clearly. Altcoins are trash. There is Bitcoin and there is Bitcoin only. Nation states are only putting Bitcoin in their treasuries. So are pension funds. So are sovereign wealth funds. Nobody's buying altcoins, which is a little bit of a warning to those people who might have been caught up in this Bybit hack that literally just happened. This is a pretty big hack. It's a pretty big deal. Everybody's talking about it right now because there's a lot. I mean, $1.4 billion. I mean, that says it all, doesn't it? $1.4 billion. It's not chump change. It's a lot of money that has been stolen. Now, my boy who I'm living with right now, Brandon from Green Candle, again, another great YouTuber who you should all be following, he sent me this tweet just before I went live today. Thought it was an interesting one because we might actually just be exposing who was responsible for this hack. Again, this has happened literally hours ago. This is brand new news, which is why we're talking about it. North Korea's Lazarus Group was supposedly responsible for the $1.4 billion hack. How did we find this out? Well, let's have a look. Let's jump on over to Arkham Intelligence. Arkham Intelligence created a bounty. And this gentleman here, Zach XBT, who has a little bit of a history for being a little bit of an on-chain guru, tracking the moves of lots of different people in the Bitcoin space, but also exposing a lot of the crypto pump and dump scammers who will talk about these crypto tokens on their YouTube channel. And on the very day they talk about them, they will market dump billions of dollars or millions of dollars of the token that they were given to talk about the trashy altcoin. So again, kudos to Zach XBT. He has exposed a lot of scams previously. We can see here, my submission has been sent identifying the organization behind the attack using on-chain data. So supposedly, the evidence is pretty good that these wallets, as we can see, tracked, were used by the Lazarus group. The North Korean Lazarus group. Pretty crazy that we do have some proof of who was behind this attack. It's crazy that we're watching exchanges hacked for $1.4 billion. Like, that's a lot of money. Again, $1.4 billion. My heart goes out to anybody who might have been caught up in the attack. Yes, it could be horrible watching your life savings be stolen and taken away. Certainly not a matter to make light of, so to say. What we will say is that just prepare yourselves, guys. This wasn't the first multi-billion-dollar hack in the Bitcoin space. Won't be the last multi-billion-dollar hack in the Bitcoin space. I don't think it's a coincidence that this exchange had a lot of altcoins in the exchange. The Lazarus, it's a bit of a mouthful, group got their hands on a lot of Ethereum. We always tell you, these exchanges or even hardware wallets that have more altcoins on them, it opens up more attack vectors to be hacked. Another reason we say just buy Bitcoin. We're not saying that just because we're Bitcoin maximalists. We're saying that because the device that you're using or the exchange that you're trusting is more at risk by servicing all these different altcoins. So it doesn't matter if you just buy Bitcoin at an exchange that has Bitcoin and altcoins, your Bitcoin could be at risk. This is why we encourage you, check out Bitcoin-only applications, Bitcoin-only products. Just be cautious out there. We always recommend you check out Rhino Bitcoin. If you are looking for somewhere to buy Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin, and just use Bitcoin the way it was supposed to be intended, we always recommend you check out Rhino Bitcoin. They've got one of the easiest user interfaces in the entire space. Have a look at it. They've got a very nice shade of purple. They're probably the only application that can pull off purple. And they really should be considered your one-stop shop for Bitcoining. Okay, you can send money globally using Rhino, and in the not too distant future, you're even going to be able to do some really cool things like borrow against your Bitcoin. So if you haven't checked out what Rhino Bitcoin is doing yet, highly recommend you check them out. And they're even going to be giving you guys $10 of free Bitcoin if you sign up with Rhino today. Now again, $10 of free Bitcoin, nothing to sneeze at. If you download the Rhino app and if you use a promo code Bitcoin News, one word, Bitcoin News, you'll be able to get $10 of free Bitcoin. So now let's have a look at the chat. I do want to have a look at the chat. There's a few comments here about Coinbase. And there is a little bit of paper hand selling going on right now in the space. I think today's price action is yet another reminder that you should not be trading your Bitcoin. I found the chart really interesting with the price of Bitcoin earlier in the day. We saw a lot of volatility. A lot of people probably got caught up and shaken out. Have a look at this. Have a look at how the price of Bitcoin spiked above that yellow line. Everybody would have went leverage long, and then they would have got absolutely wiped out by that massive red candle. I know there's probably a lot of people watching who are probably getting wrecked leverage trading, or as McLovin says, we've been getting doged our entire lives. Now it's their turn. Typically tend to agree. People have been getting doged their entire life. Please, as Jake Thomas in the chat says, do not be like the paper-handed sellers. There's 2,075 of you guys watching today. Just keep it really simple. Buy Bitcoin, relax, take your Bitcoin off exchanges. especially the exchanges that are rapidly running out of Bitcoin at a very rapid rate, like yours truly, Coinbase. Like we said, exchanges, products, hardware wallets that do have altcoins and other cryptocurrencies on them, they are more vulnerable to attacks. I'm not saying Coinbase is going to get attacked and hacked tomorrow. What I am saying is that it's not a surprise that Bybit, a massive trusted exchange in the space, was just drained for $1.4 billion. Please do not be just another number. Learn more about Bitcoin. Learn more how you should increase your sovereignty with Bitcoin. Okay, we think some of the best places where you can learn a lot more about Bitcoin is some of the massive events and conferences around the world, which reminds me to let you guys know about the world's biggest Bitcoin mining conference that's happening in around 4.5 weeks now in Florida, America. Of course, I'm talking about Mining Disrupt. If you guys were not aware, they literally are the biggest Bitcoin mining conference in the entire world. So if you want to not only learn about Bitcoin mining, but also just learn about Bitcoin and connect with some other Bitcoiners around the world and some of the biggest politicians who are pro-Bitcoin, I always encourage you guys, check out what Mining Disrupt is going to be doing on March 25th, 26th, and 27th in Florida. They're going to be putting on a massive event. You're going to get the chance to meet and greet a ton of very well-known speakers like Dennis Porter. We're going to have Nico Moran there. You're going to see some very well-known politicians there. Who knows what they're going to be talking about or even announcing at the conference. Check out what Mining Disrupt is doing. You guys can even get 20% off your tickets if you haven't got your tickets yet. And that discount is available to you if you use a promo code Bitcoin News. Again, that's one word, Bitcoin News. And there's a link in the description for Mining Disrupt. So highly recommend you check them out if you have not already. Now let's check in on the chat and talk a little bit more about Coinbase and what is going on. I would love to see what people think about the Doge. Everybody's talking about the Doge crisis hotline, 1-800-DOGE. The Department of Government Efficiency is the Doge that we're talking about on today's live stream, not Doge, the cryptocurrency. But they are making some pretty radical changes. I saw a video of Donald Trump saying that he wants to audit Fort Knox to see whether there is any gold in Fort Knox. I might talk a little bit more about that in a future video, because I have been preparing a little bit of a video for you guys on that point. And Doge, as much as people like to make jokes about it, they could be doing some pretty interesting things in America. If you want me to make a video on that one, or if you enjoyed this video, as All Night Hider says, we would appreciate a stimulating of the like button to show the algo what's up. I think I saw another comment relating to the like button that made me giggle. I can't find it right now. Okay, Jake spanked the like button. We would appreciate a spanking of the like button. With all that said, guys, there's 2,412 of you guys tuning in on this beautiful Friday afternoon. All I'm going to say is I'm going to keep this one super short, super sweet. I'll encourage you guys, let's keep an eye on what is going on with this Coinbase announcement. I think it's very interesting that they've essentially been able to walk scot-free. All I'm going to say is congratulations to Coinbase, despite them not being a Bitcoin-only company. I really hope that one of these days they do give us a little bit more transparency regarding what they're doing with all of this Bitcoin that they're custodying for the Bitcoin ETFs. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll get it. Hopefully Coinbase is not doing anything shady over there, like FTX were, like BlockFi was, like Celsius was. All we can do is cross our fingers and toes and hope. And with that said, I'm going to end this live stream here. I'm going to wish you guys a happy weekend, and you will see another live stream from us potentially tomorrow.